By the way, if y'all don't know, Butker was basically the special teams player of the week when he, not just because of the field goal he kicked, because he gave us a chance to have a chance to play last week when he made that tackle against Jacksonville.
Oh, right.
Not a little sight of that. Former special teams player, so I understand.
With that, Harrison, was that your first tackle of the season?
First tackle of the season, which I guess is a good thing, a lot of touchbacks, not big returns. I've had a couple throughout my career. That might have been the first where if I didn't make the tackle, it could have been a touchdown. I think it was maybe Jalen Watson that maybe would have gotten him as well, but just glad that we were able to cover him and give our defense a chance to stop the Jaguars. But glad my face mask made him trip.
You don't practice tackling much.
I don't practice wrapping up and tackling, but when we do kickoff return or kickoff fits, I'm always sprinting down the field and trying to get the returners to give me some moves, kind of juke me a little bit so I can at least practice being in the right position, but not, tackling a bag. I don't do a lot of that.
Harrison, how much does your lineup still change based on your week one injury?
So when we lost to the Bengals last year, we lost on a Sunday, I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday game, but I was kicking that Thursday. I really attacked the offseason. I wanted to just really work on my technique and hone it in. So I felt like I had a great foundation going into the season. And then when you do have an injury, kind of a fluke thing where the turf just went out from under my plant leg, you kind of start from square one again. So I had to make some adjustments technique-wise because you're not going to feel the same, right? It's going to take some time to get the mobility again, to get the strength again. So I've made some small changes, and I feel like I've really ironed those out, and I've been in a good rhythm the past couple of games. But you have to be able to face adversity and make adjustments, and that was the first time in my career where I've really had to do that because I do pride myself on having everything kind of figured out going into training camp, and then I'm kind of on autopilot,
So part of the battle, like sticking with these adjustments because it's what you've been doing for the past couple of months versus going back to maybe technique that you haven't used since the offseason?
Right. It's just about the amount of reps you had. So obviously before the injury, I had a ton of reps doing that technique, all offseason. And then when the injury happens, I think you just have to keep repping it and figure out what works, what doesn't work. And, it just takes time. And I feel like I'm in a much better place now than I was, obviously, a couple weeks ago.
So what was your state of mind after the injury? Like you said, it was the first time you've been injured and first time you missed games this year. Was there initial depression that you had to get through?
It's definitely tough. That was the first time I've had a major injury, and you're not traveling with the team for away games. I'm sitting at the house for home games, with my children watching it on TV. It's a very odd feeling, but I tried to attack every day. I didn't want to think, long term. There were some days where you're looking outside of practice and you're seeing whoever it is kicking one of the mats, and it hurts because you're like, man, I wish I could go out there and kick. I love to kick. I love doing that, and I can't. I don't know when I'll be able to do that. So I try not to think about, when I can come back, when my ankle will be better, if it'll ever be back to where it was before the injury. And I just tried to focus on day by day getting it better. And it's pretty amazing, now that I am kicking, to look back and think about, how messed up my ankle was and what that injury was, to think that now I'm kicking again. So it's a blessing to be able to do what I'm doing. But it was definitely tough. First time I've faced an injury.
Confident that the field conditions will be better this time?
Yeah, I think the field will definitely be great. Also, when I injured my ankle, I was doing kind of an 11-yard approach on kickoff, so you have a lot more momentum going in there. Now I'm doing a 5-yard approach, so it's much more controlled, and I feel like doing that approach, I can handle a slippery surface. Just the more kind of momentum you have going at the ball, the better the turf has to be, or else you'll potentially slip. So I feel better doing this 5-yard approach. It's a lot safer.
Understanding you got one game left, just given the ups and downs and how you faced a lot of adversity this year, how sweet was it to be able to send your team to the AFC title?
Man, it's a crazy story. I know I've talked about the injury, but you have all these aspirations for the season. I felt the best I'd ever felt going into a season. I thought this was going to be my best year, and then boom, week one you get injured. I don't know if I'm going to even play again the rest of the year. I missed 4 games. I come back. I started off with a 62-yard field goal, and I was thinking, man, I'm back, I'm going to, finish this year out and do a great job. And then I had some hiccups in there just trying to figure out the ankle, and I think I just didn't have the endurance, maybe the mobility to be able to handle week of practice, game, all of that. But it's gotten stronger. I feel like I've adjusted to technique how I need to. Then you fast forward, Bengals miss a big kick, Texans miss a big kick, and it would have been very easy. The temptation for me was just to be upset, kind of quit the process, just throw my hands up like I can't do anything. But I just kept the faith. I want to give glory to God. I wouldn't have been able to come in every day and attack every day with a smile, to be blessed and grateful to be in this position. It would have been so easy to listen to the noise, to keep my head down, not in a good way, just depressed in my feelings about not being the type of kicker that I know I can be. But I just kept my work ethic. The teammates were great to support me, and they had a lot of trust in me. Obviously, the coaches had a lot of trust in me, and I kept working every day. And then you get to the divisional game. I was able to make those kicks. And then the AFC Championship game, probably biggest kick of my career. It always happens to be the playoff games where they're the game-tying or game-winning kicks. And to be able to make that through, that was obviously, thanks to God for allowing that kick to go through. I know it sounds weird, but I always pray for God's will to be done. So whether that's a make or a miss, if I'm doing my absolute best to maximize the talents that He gave me, if it doesn't go in, I'm going to keep the process and keep going as much as I can until I'm not kicking footballs anymore. But, it was a great feeling for that ball to go through. And obviously my head's down. I'm grinding every day now to get ready for the Super Bowl.
Harrison, the game winner the other night, at what point did you know it was good? Right when it left your foot, or?
No, I kicked that, and I wonder if the majority of the fans were watching the Jumbotron. I know a lot of the Bengals guys on field goal block didn't even turn around. They were watching the Jumbotron. Because on the Jumbotron, you're thinking, okay, that's going through the uprights. But when you're actually watching the ball, like I was, you're wondering, is it going to have the distance? So even Tommy turned around, and he's coming to hug me. And I'm like, man, we got to make sure this ball goes over the crossbar. And it was a great hit. But again, with that colder weather, the ball PSI drops. It was a great kick off my foot, and then it just kind of floated there. But I wasn't sure it was going to go through. Obviously, the fans and Tommy and a lot of people were already celebrating, which kind of gave me a little bit more confidence. But at the end of the day, it's got to go past the crossbar, which thankfully it did.
Harrison, Coach Reed told us that you were dealing with a high ankle sprain. And I want you to compare this. Mahomes dealt with a high ankle sprain. How remarkable, from your point of view, was he was able to come back that fast?
Oh, yeah. It was definitely remarkable. I remember going into the facilities after the game. That would have been Sunday. And, he was walking great, and he was in great spirits. He told me that he had that, and y'all know this, but he had the same injury in 2019, I believe, against the Jaguars, and he didn't miss any time. And he said this injury in the divisional game wasn't as bad as that one. So he's a warrior, and he was able to, not even really be affected by that, much at all, and that just speaks to the type of athlete he is, the type of warrior mentality he has. But that was extremely impressive, and I know we have a lot of guys that are battling through injuries to be able to finish that last game and then play this next game.
Super quick one, Harrison. I think when we talked to you when you first came back, you maybe thought you would never get to be 100% this year because of just all the tweaks and all that stuff. Are you close to 100% or no?
I think I'm kicking the ball as accurately as I was before. It's just a different technique. I've had to adjust. We'll see about the power. It's hard to tell kicking outside and when it's cold, right? Because that 62-yarder right after the injury, it was warm outside. But who knows if I wouldn't have been able to kick that 10 yards farther, before the ankle. So I'll know more in Arizona. But I feel really good with how I'm kicking the ball. I feel like I'm locked in, kicking the ball right where I want to. And, I'll just continue this momentum going in the Super Bowl.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.